What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How is everyone doing? We're just going to be reviewing Revolution. Long story short, I have watched Raw. Thought Raw was okay. Just long story short, this week I'm not going to do as much reviews, so we'll skip Raw. So I'm going to do the other reviews instead for the rest of the week. So you'll get the likes of Dynamite. You'll get your SmackDown reviews. You'll get all that this week. Just this week, there's no Raw. I agree with that, Scott. I think that's a very appropriate way to describe it. Apart from the main event, the pay-per-view was excellent. It certainly reveled itself, and I enjoyed it. I mean, I have some critiques. I mean, that's normal. We certainly have a lot to praise, but it was very intense. Would that be the best way to put it? I think that's the way I would describe it. Intense. Ow. Four. Long story short, I'm not going to review a 0 Hour. I don't watch, so we are pretty much safe from 0 Hour. It's just going to be the main card that we're going to review, and honestly, where do I begin? Like, obviously, the show started with a bang. Like, MJF and Hangman, that's MJF's best match in a long time. But Hangman really got under his skin in terms of the actual match itself and the whole workaround. It was fantastic. Now, I was thinking in terms of context, how are they going to do this? Because I thought, are they going to have MJF win the first match? And then maybe we get a repeat from Hangman later on, but I just had a sneaky suspicion that Hangman was going to win this, and I really thought the match delivered. I really was impressed. I thought the work from both men justify why they are in the main event scene. It's an indication that you have to do. Yeah, I think so. I think there's no way that it can't end on one match between these two. It would be a shambles. I think when you look at it as well in the best way possible, this entire show, it really got its identity from this match. I mean, if you look at everything that went on throughout the night, it stems from this. Like, you've got anger, you've got jealousy, you've got a means to an end throughout each part of the show. I think that's a bit harsh to say, Guy, that he should be embarrassed. I don't think so. I think the reality of it is, I think they were expecting something out of the main event. The problem is, stuff happens. You know what? I'm actually going to say this is not entirely his fault. You know, like, what is he supposed to do when you look at it in the right context? Like, when you look at it contextually, the event was very strong, but the entire synchronicity of the fans to the actual event, it was there consistently throughout the whole show. I think the problem is the main event. I completely agree. Like I said, if you listen to what I said on the preview show, I said if we don't get the turn or Christian Cage doesn't win the championship, then it shouldn't have been the main event. And I'm going to hold myself to those words. It shouldn't have been the main event. The match that should have been the main event was that incredible women's match That is the best women's match I've watched since Perazzo versus James Hard to Kill in the Texas Death Match a couple of years ago. That's how high I rate this match. Like, it had echelons of work. Why are they? Why this is a scary thing? Why are you afraid to let women be aggressive like that? Like, if I hear anyone say it's not ladylike, then Jesus wept. Like, it's human nature to fight like that. Like, it's human nature to go as far as you can to get rid of your enemy. And that's what happened. It was their enemy. It was the echelon of violence. It was incredible subtext. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was an excellent main event that should have been, but it wasn't the main event. Obviously, they gave it to the world title, which is an understandable concept. But it also highlighted who should and shouldn't be in the main event anymore. And we're certainly going to come to that very, very soon. But absolutely, it was a bloodbath. It was spewing blood. Now, I get it, some people are not going to like certain levels of violence, but I'm sorry, but doesn't matter. They had to go that level. They had to go that far. Because this was truly getting away from the whole situation. It fit the stipulation perfectly. So I can't fault them. But we are going to talk about this opening match first, and it was, yeah, 100%. We are going to talk about this opening match first, and long behold, this was clever. I mean, I think the way you've purposely designed this match, it's... I think if you really want to call this match, it was just a standard wrestling match. But if you want to call it not a stipulation, but a concept of the match itself, what would be the best way to put it? I think the match itself, MJF versus Hangman, I call it a means to an end, or righting the wrongs. So, number one, this was about who was right. Is it MJF or is it Hangman? The winner of the match is going to really tell it. I think it stems from itself that it doesn't translate badly. I just think the way that they've gone about it, it forces you to adapt your thinking. What's up, Zodiac? How are you? The guy says, I thought the match could have been better. It was a very brutal match. It should have been longer, more time to breathe. Wait, which match are you saying should have went longer? MJF versus Hangman? Is that the match that you're saying should have went longer? Because I'm going to show you something very, very interesting, by the way. Just to prove a point about how each match went, length for length. Oh yeah, MJF will talk. And I think what he'll do is he'll call out Hangman, potentially acknowledge that he was the better man. But then he'll say that he has to prove himself and he wants another chance. And Hangman will actually do it. Hangman will give it to him. Hammerstone I'm fully expecting, yeah. I'm actually gonna show you something. So I've actually taken the match result times, and I'm actually going to put it on screen. So this is actually how long each match went on the actual event. So now I don't realistically have to turn the screen off. So there we go. Alright, long story short, the guy, fair enough, you said the women's match should have gotten 20 minutes. You know what? I think that's fair. Because I believe, like, when you look at the Mercedes Moné match, that went close to 20 minutes. I think, personally, the Mercedes Moné match went too long. It was a good match, but it should have got less time. We should have got, I would say 17 to 18 minutes is enough, but I think because you go so far in terms of barbaric, that even under 13 minutes, it's still a reflection of the two involved. If you know what I mean, I think that's a big, important thing. And I don't think there's any wrongdoing between the two. I agree with this as well, Zodiac. I've got YouTube on the side, so I wanted to have a look. I wanted to have a look on the side, see how it looks. But actually, it looks okay on the screen. But I agree. I'm glad no one got hurt. If we did, then something seriously would have went wrong. Besides, Moné and main event went too long. Yes, I agree. I also think the Hurt Syndicate match went too long as well, because it shouldn't have even been on the card. I think when you look at it, your times are judged accordingly to what you think you can get in as well. So it's not just the booker's decision to tell you, by the way, you've got a 20-minute match, this is what you've got. Or the agent's going to say, right, guys, by the way, you've got 10 minutes. This is what we want you to get in on that match. The talent's got to also agree to it as well. So when you look at it on all talking points, essentially, it's the right level of time, but we got the right amount of work. And we also got good character building up. So let's look at MJF, for example, with Hangman. So this is all about, I said this was about righting the wrongs, or who's right, who's wrong. If you actually look at it, this entire match is who's got main character syndrome. And not in a negative way, when it's thrown around as an insult. I'm actually using it as an opposite. I'm actually using this as a praise. So I'm actually stipulating this. When you think about main character syndrome, realistically, MJF is the longest reigning AEW World Champion. His title reign is likely to be broken at some point. No idea who by, but it's going to be broken. Like, it's not a no-brainer, all right? Like, it's going to happen. Whereas Hangman Page has arguably one of the two best stories in AEW, Hangman's Tale. It's one of the best told stories in the company. Yeah, you do. You need at least two main characters, exactly. So you need a top heel and you need a top babyface. Essentially, right now, AEW's top babyface was match number 3 on the main card. It was match number 3. Swerve is the top babyface on this product. The top heel. I think realistically, I've said for a while it's likely to be Christian or it's likely to be MJF, but the way they're expecting it to be, the top heel is MJF. But in actual reality, though, the opening card featured the best babyface champion this company's ever had. Like, Hangman Adam Page is the best babyface champion that they've had. They expect the top heel to be Mox Ailey, but to be fair, even my legs are better heels. Positioning wise, though, when you look at the main event, I do agree with why you're saying it, though. Don't worry, everyone probably feels the same way. The main event just didn't make sense. The main event lost rhythm. Like, the main event lost rhythm for different reasons. And for once, I know exactly who to blame. I know exactly who to blame. So we'll come to that later on. Don't worry. Who mocks like Roman? Well, yeah, in terms of like how he holds a title and his length of reign, he does kind of, to be fair. Like, he holds all the cards. The problem is, it shouldn't be his position. Like, from a realism perspective, it shouldn't be him. But all in all, I don't think this match was actually negative. Yeah, lots of interference. I think when you look at it, it is one of the best matches on the card. I like the reality that we got from Hangman, that he was willing to do things differently. I mean, you've got the tombstone on the chair, which in any circumstance, a tombstone normally is a match ender, and it has been proven before that it's not. But MJF really got up for this. Like, I don't often praise MJF, and Ailey will testify on that. I don't often praise MJF. I often find him tedious and hard to comment in a respective manner. But I have to give him credit and plaudits. Credit. So there you go. There's a multivariant. But when you look at it in that way, it was right there. It was very crazy. I'm MJF mark number 1, I'll admit it. It's fair for you to say, Zodiac, but I thought it was by far the worst main event I've seen for a good 5 years, probably since Goldberg and Bray. That's very interesting. So, out of curiosity, the worst main event I've seen, if I'm going company specific, I can tell you the worst main event I've seen in WWE since this match. I agree on this. This match was awful. Like, this match put scars on my brain and my soul. Like, it left scars. By the way, Goldberg is now back on Twitter, so if you want to suffer, read his tweets. If your Twitter still works. But yeah, the craziest thing as well, and this is what I didn't expect out of Hangman, he went for the Angel's Wings and he didn't take it. Like, I think MJF is brave. And I say brave because he actually lands on his face. Normally when you see the Angel's Wings delivered by Daniels, the talent comes down with their knees, not tucked in so much they're going to smack their face off their knees, but they're tucked in a little bit so they bounce off, so it does protect the face. MJF in a way, he basically went, fuck this, I'm going to sell it. Like, it's going to hurt. Yeah, like, his submission transition was top level. I can't fault that. He did. He face planted. Like, it's not something that you normally see. Like, if you actually look at the best Angel's Wings I've ever been hitting, obviously there's some talent that do face plant, but they are protected by the bounce. Whereas MJF went up and down like he had been lifted up by a Olympic bench presser or Mark Henry in his prime. That's what that felt like in terms of impact. It was wild. Also, according to Bet, Mark Henry is the 4th greatest black wrestler out of a list of 15. I've got nothing against that, but that list also ignored a lot of great talent. Like, a lot of great talent that were randomly not included, which I found very, very strange. But hey ho, that's how it is. A lot of people are having a thing about this, but I'm not. A lot of people are saying that Hangman's re-embracing his Ring of Honor days by getting his hair cut. Okay, I don't care about someone gets their hair cut. I don't understand why that's a talking point. I don't think it's of any relevance at all. The one at Bound for Glory. It was okay. But I feel there's a different level of comparison here. For one, it's two men compared to two women. I think realism context, you should compare it to a women's match. Because comparing a men's street fight to a women's street fight, it's I'm not going to say it's bad taste or bad faith, but the men are booked in a street fight to go a lot further than the women. This was probably the first time in quite a while where women were like, you know what, go out there and try to really tear each other apart, you know? I think you've got to look at it contextually. I actually like that match, by the way. Bound for Glory 2013, James Storm versus Bobby Roode street fight is a really good street fight. But I think you have to look at it a different way. This wasn't even a street fight match. It was Falls Count Anywhere, no rope breaks, no disqualifications. You still get one of those implications inside a street fight. This was a whole different barrier of a match type. Basically, the referee was just there to exist and count the pinfall, which happened the way I said it was going to happen. But what was bad about MJF versus Hangman? Well, it had one of the same issues that did happen throughout the night. But also, I'm not going to say this as a negative, but because some people do like this, I'm just not a particular fan of this. But this also happened at Elimination Chamber as well, so I am going to tie it back to something. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm just picking on one company or whatever. I'm actually going to contrast it to both. Throughout the night, most of these matches just became... They were already great matches, but then came all the finisher fests. So I think that's a... I don't mind finishers, and Ailey will back me up on this because I said this to her on a show. I don't mind going for a finisher, like for example, just for saying sake, it's let's see, what's a very appropriate angle? Well, there you go then. Prime Kurt Angle versus Prime AJ Styles. Both men have got two specific finishers, right? Angle's got the ankle lock and the ankle slam. AJ Styles at the time, in his prime era, it was the Styles Clash and the Calf Killer, because obviously WWE doesn't like the use of killer, so they dubbed it the Calf Crusher. And that's fine. That's basically how they've done it. I've got no issue with that. That's what they've said. But you've got the prime. You've got Angle Slam and Ankle Lock versus Calf Killer and the Styles Clash. I'm completely fine with, say, 4 or 5 attempts of the actual move or the hold throughout the match, but only one of them comes across successfully. I'm alright with that. But if it's finisher, kick out, finisher, kick out, finisher, kick out, go for a finisher, the attempt is countered into a finisher that's successful, it does take away a little bit of my enjoyment. And long behold, this happened a lot, and it happened throughout both recent pay-per-views. And it also happened on Monday Night Raw. So before anyone comes at me, I'm just being honest. Don't like the constant use of a finisher. I like attempts that leads to different angles in the match, but maybe I'm a little bit old-fashioned, but I think a finisher to an extent should be protected. Or a counter to a finisher is enough. Maybe I'm just far too old-fashioned, but it's just what I believe in. Do you think this was better than Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker? Absolutely. Absolutely. Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker is a letdown match. They let each other down. And Ailey, that's fair. That's a very fair analytic view on this. I think that's very fair. If you want to join, by the way, you're more than welcome to. I can send you the link. I've got no problem sending you the link if you want to jump in. In fact, I'll make it easier for anybody if anyone does want to join. There you go. Match number 2, again was fun. Yes, this is spot on. This is what I like about certain matches. Hold on, phone call. Not bad for a quick phone call. Okay, this is what I like about angle matches. This is what I like about. Well, I know it's biased, but this is what I like about Bret Hart matches. To be honest, see before the incident, Benoit matches, CM Punk matches before he went all turgid years ago, they all worked the right limb or the right area before they went for a finish. So I do agree with this. If your finisher is a submission, you should be softening the particular body part for that submission during the match. Maybe attempt that a couple of times unsuccessfully, finally locking in. There's some great moments in matches where someone will go for a Boston Crab, even Prime Chris Jericho, where they'll go for the Boston Crab, or they'll go for the ankle lock, or the sharpshooter, or the crossface. And the opponent would always try to block it or shake their body. I like when people try to block it with the body, or they try to use, if I'm locked in the sharpshooter, 2 legs are in that position, but somebody's grabbed my arms. Well, my arms are free, but I've got a chance to just punch up. That's a good way. So that means the initiator knows, right, that person's not there yet. I've still got a long time before I can lock it in. So what do? You just keep grounding away at them. That's what Samoa Joe matches are perfectly about when it comes to his Coquina clutch. He will break your body and then break your head, spirit-wise and endurance-wise, to the point where, how do you cope? How do you respond? You either tap out or you pass out. Bryan Danielson was the same. Frequently, he would go for the head or he would go for the arms, because you've got limited way of escaping. So absolutely, if you're a submission artist, make most of it. Make it count. I'm not a fan of hers, but look at Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch constantly will try the upper body or the arms because of her submission. It's a fabricated way of doing it. Ric Flair's probably the best at it. Ric Flair is probably the best wrestler when it comes to manipulating a submission hold for his own gain. It's why Sting did well with his version of the sharpshooter, the Scorpion Deathlock. When you look at it from the right way, he would always work the leg, whether it be grabbing the foot when the opponent was prone. He would kick the side of the thigh, the hamstring. He would use the ropes using the hip attack. He would use the chop block. He would use the knee breaker. It was regulated offense, but it was always to weaken that leg. It's effective stuff, and this is the best part of it. For me, this is one of the best parts about wrestling. It's so essential. But not many submission artists do it anymore, which is a bit of a shame. They're so effective. So effective. Many people may think different, but I like Cena Rock too, even though they had too many finisher kickouts. Okay, I preferred the first one, but I certainly understand your reasoning behind it. I certainly understand that. But yes, so match number 2 on the main card, because the pre-show can die. We have Mercedes Moné versus Momo Watanabe. She obviously invoked her Dynasty Women's Championship match opportunity. She could have faced anyone 4 promotions, but she chose the TBS title. Me personally, I think this was a mistake, and I was proven right. Even though this match was enjoyable, it went 5 minutes too long. But it's wrong, because if you're going to have a title match for Mercedes Moné on this pay-per-view, even though it's not an AEW title, I personally believe that this match should have been for the Strong Championship. I think when you look at it in the nutshell, Momo Watanabe, she is so cemented in the Japanese scene, whereas Mercedes Moné is intercontinental. She's across the globe. It makes more sense for this to have been for the Strong title, not the TBS title, in my opinion. It kind of takes away from Momo. It kind of put Momo in a losing situation, even though the match was really enjoyable for what they brought in. Both women got injured, that is correct. And yeah, she did hurt her ankle. It's a shame. I think when you look at it right now, they were really exerting too much. They exerted a lot in this match, and it doesn't help. But I have one big criticism of Mercedes Moné, and this really has... I am starting to get very, very uncomfortable with her matches. And it's plain and simple. The reason why I'm so uncomfortable with her matches, I'm actually going to put it as a banner, just so everyone knows that this is not a joke. This is why I just can't. I don't like this finisher. I like the fact that it wasn't the match ending move. She ended it with the money statement. Thank God. But God forbid, can she stop using this move? It doesn't work. And if you want proof why it doesn't work, just look at someone else on the other side. If you look at someone who uses a near similar move, actually 2 people, it would be wise for Mercedes to maybe tweak it. It's time for Mercedes to really pay attention to the moves that are utilized by the likes of Alexa Bliss and Ludwig Kaiser. Now, I'm not saying in essential that Mercedes should just copy them both. Don't do that. But essentially, she should be using more of a DDT than that's actually low hanging, than actually lifting the opponent into a Gore bomb position to then do a DDT, because no one can do this move. This move has only been done perfectly once. And if you want to see which one I'm talking about, Mercedes Moné, when she won the title from Kairi Sane, the IWGP Women's Championship, Kairi Sane is the only woman that's ever taken that move, and it's actually worked. You can't do it to a similar size opponent. You can't do it to a bigger opponent. It just doesn't work. Either she does the Gore bomb because she loves Eddie Guerrero, or a brainbuster, or she just uses the Moné statement and just wins matches by submission, or she does something different by using a roll-up. I think it's very stupid to continue using this move. Feel free to argue against the guys. I'm alright with that, but it's my personal opinion. I don't like it. I've never liked that move. It doesn't do her any justice. It actually makes her look stupid. It makes her look weak. Someone needs to just drag her aside and be like, you know what, you are a top talent, but I recommend something else. She's upset. She's one of multiple people in this industry that's constantly obsessed with using Eddie Guerrero's moveset, but she doesn't use one of his best weapons. She doesn't use the Brainbuster. Mercedes Moné with a Brainbuster would be lethal. Like, could you imagine that? Or even if she used the Gory Bomb. I'm not saying no. That depressing feeling when you witness another AEW show ending with Moxley choking someone out. Yeah. Horrible climax. Did you see Hardy's versus Fraxium? Yes, I did. I did. But this crowd was involved. This crowd was engaged. The crowd was all in for it. So they got the crowd going, which is great. It's great to see that's another Japanese talent that's got over with a crowd this week in the best way. Io Sky on Raw. Momo Watanabe at Revolution. It's nice. I really like Momo Watanabe. It was the right match for her, but the wrong title, which kind of made it a no-win situation. It felt a little bit misplaced. We get throughout the night now. Do I want to say his name or do I want to just go around it? What's up, Lark Bark? I just want to say hi quick because I'm still in the middle of work. Well, aren't you kind? It's good to see you. I hope work is going well for you. I'm not saying it was a good main event, but I'm glad that stupid title shot contract gimmick is out of play now. That's a positive I'll take from it. That's a fair example of a way around it. That's a fair way to say it. I think they messed up with it though. Like, we had the chance to get something really good out of that stipulation, but I think if they're clever, AEW needs to pull an audible and Swerve should take the. I know it's not booked for Dynamite tonight because Dynamite is starting a TB. It's not a TBS, sorry. Dynamite is starting a tournament tonight for the international title. The winner of this tournament will face Kenny Omega at Dynasty. I'm thinking it's going to be Speedball Mike Bailey. Just saying. But I actually think Jon Moxley shouldn't be holding this title all the way to Dynasty. He needs to lose it as soon as possible. I don't care if people don't often like a TV title change. Get the title off him as soon as possible. And give someone else the title match at Dynasty. They need to tone down on the Stardom women. They're hard to get behind for me because not many people watch Stardom, but they're in a partnership with Stardom though. So they still have to showcase who they work with. I get your point though, but here's the thing: it's only like Stardom, of course, is accessible to anybody. It's just they don't choose to watch it. Doesn't necessarily mean they should stop. If you're in a partnership with them, you should still be showcasing their talent on your product, and vice versa. I think it purely comes down to just preference. God, I hope not. I hope not. Because if you look at it, if he holds it all the way to All In, he's 2 months shy of Brian of a full year as champion. And Jon Moxley's longest reign, what was it, 340 days or something? It is mad though that Jon Moxley is the first and only 4-time champion. Yeah, he won the title in October. And there'd be 2 months off. The next big show is a couple of weeks away. Well, 3 weeks away. The 6th of December. It's a Sunday. AEW Dynasty. Yeah, 3 weeks on Sunday. Just look at one thing. So John Moxley's longest reign is 277 days. That was his very first reign. Kenny Omega was 346. Then 11 days, because obviously that's when he squashed CM Punk. He would then win it again for 3 days. He would then lose it to MJF. Sorry, 59 days, and he lost to MJF. MJF's reign of 406 days. His current reign is at the moment 149 days. So John Moxley combined John Moxley is 4 days shy of 500 days total as champion, which is insanity. All right, Mo, how's it going? I know. It's incredible. Like, that is the reality that we're in. Like, it's Revolution's kind of way it's become the Moxley event. Like, it's like the one pay-per-view that he is the frequent main eventer. Which makes you wonder, I suppose, but I think when you look at it in the right way, there's only 2 people have had multiple reigns as champion in AEW from 13 reigns in total. John Moxley's had 4, CM Punk's had 2. The rest of them have all won the title once. Now, I'm expecting Swerve, Kenny, and Hangman all to get another world title run. But it depends on when that happens. I'm expecting Kenny to take it and then take it to new levels. Now, the next match was what I would like to say is the definition of enjoyment. Except for that main event. Absolutely. Except for the main event. That is true. I expect him to beat Moxley anyway. I don't see Moxley winning this unless Moxley calls in a political favor. So are Okay, so sound check. Can you guys hear me? Oh, thank God. No idea what the fuck happened there. I apologize. Freaking, it came up saying that my wireless network adapter disabled itself. No idea why. I blame Donald Trump. All right, Fernando, how's it going? Will you fucking connect? There we go. Got my fucking music back. That's just not funny. That is just not funny. Did you see that person from the Queen's Crown saying wrestling's predetermined? Yes, that person is a fucking asshole. Like, imagine saying that live on an event. Bitch, know your fucking lane. Like, know your bloody role. Like, and how the hell are you meant to even be prepared for that? Like, that is absolute disgraceful. Like, I actually hate that this so-called actor has done it. Like, you should not be saying that stuff at all. Like, that is a genuine joke. Dumbest thing to say, especially on stage match. Exactly. Like, I don't care if you're an actor, or if you're in the crowd, or you're there to have fun. There's there are things you say, and there's some things you don't do, and that's one of them. Imagine walking into an actor for a bloody film and go, "Oh, we're only there, um, we're only there at not do heavy stunts. The stuntman does it for us. It's us in the film. Shut up. Go check out Camille Close for that video or night. It was disgraceful. If you can, is the video post or is it out of interest? Because I haven't seen this. I didn't know she posted. All right, Fletch, how are you? Camille has done AEW, didn't mention her once being in the movie. There's some things that got wrong, for sure. Hold on 2 little seconds. All right, that makes sense. So she offered her explanation of what the girl meant when she said that. Yeah, but even so, like, I'm surprised that she still said it. You know, like I couldn't do that. I mean, we as fans know, but if you're going on a pay per view that is going to be bought and paid for, you shouldn't be, or however means you watch it, You shouldn't be saying that out loud. It's horrific. But hey, but Swerve versus Ricochet. Exactly. Like, why was she still on? I know this is going to sound incredibly harsh to say, but why was she kept inside why was she kept inside this stadium or this arena or whatever it was? I would have checked her out. Exactly. Like I would have checked her out. Like I would have been like, right, see you later. Like goodbye. I wouldn't have kept her in here. I'd be like, right, if that's your attitude, then get gone. Like it's just wrong. After the pre-show, that should have been it. Yeah. Like what have you got to gain? That is true. There's just awkward levels to this shit. Pro wrestling, eh? The movie bombed anyway in the theaters, even with AEW Corona. I watched the film. I actually quite liked it. Like I liked it, but I know it hasn't done well. It's a shame, really. I will say this though. Let me just drop this for 2 seconds. Um, like I will say, I will. This is just a common thing. Like I just want to say, I want to give props to Julie as well for wrestling last night despite being injured. Like that that spiral tap maneuver by Stephanie Vaquer is level, like incredible. Like Stephanie Vaquer is a whole package, but just for Julie, obviously that's not how she wanted to bow out at the moment. But obviously because she's injured, it is a shame. So I want to wish her a speedy recovery. But moving on. Not many people are going to go to a movie these days anyway. They just wait for it to appear on a streaming platform and then they go, "You'll do." Oh yay! TNA hates me this week because you've got fucking Johnny Dangle Curtis versus Cody Deaner. But when I say he's an absolute waste, TNA drones come at me. See, I'm a hardcore TNA fan. I'm actually quoting this. Why? Why? Please, no. Like, Cody Deaner, you're a producer. Can you just piss off and just stick to promoting shows and producing them? No one goes out anymore. Stuff is overpriced and expensive. That's reality we're in, mate. It's crap. TNA keeps losing, guys. Can't pay anyone. Surprised to let Hammerstone go. That one really shocked me. They can pay people. I just don't know what the hell's going on. Like I say it truthfully, I have no clue what the hell is going on. All right, Chris. I've not watched wrestling for years, but wow, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, they're blasts from the past for me. They're getting to work themselves in the way that they deserve, and I am glad for them. So it's just wild shit. But speaking of excellence all around, Prince Nana's entire moment where we thought he was going to turn heel was truly special. Obviously, he didn't. Instead, we got the I don't know, Mo. I honestly don't know. It'll take a lot for Anthem to just give up on them. You know what I mean? But I want to give you an answer, but I really don't know. I do not want them to go and become something they're not. When that happens, I'll end up just going back to watching the classic stuff. I really want to hope that I'm not wrong. Great match. Swerve is super over. Put the belt on him. Yeah, but apparently, according to certain Muppets, Swerve lost all his momentum. How's AEW been doing since it's been introduced as a computer? It's not essentially competing, but they're doing things on their own level. I think people are trying to use the word competition in the worst manner, where I think it's just an overall good alternative to what they want to be. Now, not a lot of people are going to like that, but how people value WWE, I value AEW differently, and I value the concepts so much differently. So I value I value the level of continuity. Like, that's something that really steps out for me. So obviously at the moment, WWE financially are hitting strides that they haven't actually hit in a long time. So you have to be realistic in that way. But you also have to factor is if you like it, then it'll be for you. If you don't, then that's fine. Me, essentially, I know what I like and what I don't like. I like a variety of things that are in both products, both companies. But there's also a lot of shit that I don't like. And we'll be coming to what I don't like on this show very, very shortly, just to prove a point. When I first saw the brackets for the tourney, I thought it'd be Ricochet Kenny at Dynasty, but how can Ricochet get that number one spot after losing like a number one contender match? I can tell you, he's not going to. I think at Dynasty, you're going to get Speedball. I think it'll be Speedball versus Kenny. Me neither, man. I don't think they're going to break ties, but I just hope they make sure they get control. Like, they maintain control, sorry. Otherwise, what's the point? Imagine Nana turns and Swerve during the Moxley match, then you've missed the trick. If you want to make it more of an impact, I mean, to be fair, if he does turn during the world title match, that will be a massive shock. But I think if you really want to test the waters, it should have happened during the match with Ricochet, because there's more at stake with the Ricochet match. Now, the Moxley match has the world title, but the match with Ricochet had a lot more of his pride at stake. So I think that's a different level. Ricochet's presentation AEW is leaps ahead of what was WWE. Ricochet's presentation WWE wasn't as strong as it was since NXT. They just dropped the ball with him. And it's unfortunate, really, because the gimmick he's doing right now, if he'd had that in NXT or in WWE, he would have been completely safe. Just thought I ask, as you watch more wrestling than me these days, just to answer my question, I would suspect they're doing their own thing. They are doing their own thing, and you're very welcome. Anything you want to ask, fire away. Absolutely, fire away. Ricochet, one of the only guys had the guts to go to AEW, and it paid off for him. And to be fair, vice versa. There's talent that have went to WWE that suits them more. It's because of what they value for themselves. And then there's talent that went to AEW that value themselves in that way, and they're working to the best that they can enjoy. If Nana was going to turn, it would have been with Ricochet, not Mox. Exactly. Prince Nana as a Death Rider makes no sense. Like, could you imagine Prince Nana as a Death Rider? I don't think I can. I think that would be. Oh, I don't know. It just doesn't seem weird. This match proved my point about finisher fests, but it did have an absolutely incredible couple of spots. So number one, the vertebraker on the table. I haven't seen the vertebraker in years, so shout out to Homicide because obviously he made this move special. There was obviously a low blow attempt which was caught. The 630 is still one of the best diving moves going. I mean, it's not my favorite diving finisher at the minute, but it's still a great diving move to watch. I think anyone can say that it's overall. It's just a beauty. I really do like it. I've really enjoyed that move. The Death Valley driver, that nearly went wrong. Like that, if you actually look at it again from that suicide dive into the Death Valley driver, that nearly went wrong. Like they nearly made that mistake. You gotta be very careful with those moves on the outside. But Swerve would win 2 kill shots, and then the Swerve Stomp, which obviously would have a bigger impact later in the night. Ricochet, in my opinion, didn't show much in WWE in the main roster. They put championships on him. I agree. But I also think that's what he was limited to. Just championships, no work. I can imagine Don Callis a Death Rider. So can I. That makes more sense. It was very brutal. Is the current US Education Secretary a former wrestler? A former wrestling promoter's wife? Yes. Linda McMahon is the US Educational Secretary. And I feel sorry for all those kids. Scott, that's issue a lot of talent WWE. They think if they leave, their careers are over. Your career isn't over. I agree. I don't understand this narrative. Oh, you leave a company, your career's over. Well, no. Your career isn't over. Your career just has a chance to either redefine itself or you just give up and do something new. The only way your career is over is if you get injured where you're physically forced to retire. You die in the ring. Don't wish that on anyone, but it has happened. Or you just say, actually, you know what? I'm done. I want to go and get a normal job. There's 3 ways to get out of wrestling. You die, you retire, you just say, see you later. No, she's not a former wrestler. She's never wrestled. She used to be on TV and promote herself, and she was involved in segments, but she never wrestled. She was far too old. Unless you're a dick. Yeah, true. Easy, kill all 3. Kill all 3. Maggie Thatcher goes last. Like, specifically, last. For what she did to this country. Oh, I will kill all 3. If you honestly think I'm going to do either of those bar kill, then nah, can't do it. It's kill all 3. Nah, won't do it. I won't do it. I have principles. I will kill all 3. I would tell you exactly how I would do it, but then this show would immediately get cancelled by Google. So I'm not going to tell you how I would do it. But if you guess the motive, then or the means how I do it, then I'll say yes, or I'll give a thumbs up. Because I'm totally not cynical. Match number 4 of the main card was I said it was going to be a good match, but in the end, it became a match that we didn't really need. Same with the follow-up match as well. I also think it's purely because they put it in the wrong order. I feel sorry for Okada and Brody King. They should not have been the match after Swerve versus Ricochet. It should have been the Hurt Syndicate's tag match. Okada versus Brody King should have followed the tag match instead, but they really made that mistake. Okada's nipples were really torn the test of time. Those things got slapped. No, still, it's waterboard all three then. Waterboard, easy, just drown them in water. All three still. No. I wouldn't. I don't have a dislike or a hate towards Obama. Plus, I listened to his wife's podcast. They're actually quite interesting. This was a very brutal chop match when you look at it. I mean, it was brutal to a T. Okada was outshined by Brody King. I agree with the result, but this match showed that Brody King's ready for a singles run. I thought it was... Again, it wasn't placed well on the card, but that's maybe because reality of Swerve and Ricochet maybe went too early. But both men really played at each other, and not once but two cannonballs from Brody King on Okada. Okada really looked like he'd been killed. Like he really did look like he got killed by Brody King. This match was devastating for him. Brody King is a naturally superb big man. Buy into him. I think he's fantastic. Really give all we can do. This should be basically the end of the Hellhounds feud with Okada, though. Like, there should be no more with him now. But I like the Rainmaker counter into another clothesline by Brody King. That was cool. But then, obviously, Okada's two drop kicks. Sublime. The match does end with the Rainmaker, but all in all, this was a decent match, but maybe we didn't need it. And then, ugh. Brody King should maybe beat Kenny after he unifies both titles, then move Kenny onto the World Championship. I wouldn't mind that. It wouldn't surprise me as well if he was to lose the Unified Championship back to Takeshita. Kenny is definitely going to get world title by the end of the year. If you're looking at it, it depends on what you want, but it doesn't necessarily need to have a lot less matches. But if you had to remove a few, I would have removed the tag title match. And now, because we know it, the world title, but we can't essentially have a pay-per-view for the world title. You're fine. I'm just not. It's not for me. I don't like either of them. One of them ruined my country for many years. The other is going to ruin the planet because of his narcissistic opinions. And the other can't speak properly because he's Boris Johnson. I think Buddy, once he gets back, should get a rematch against Okada. I would be well up for that. He deserves it. I like the fact that this was made to be a full reset. I think it was they really went back and went, you know what, Swerve winning the match was a reset for the main event scene. The pay-per-view was 0 hours, 3 hours 25. There you go then. Like 0 hour was what, 90 minutes? Something like that. So you get 3 hours 25, that's okay. And I got the 3 hours 25 because I didn't want 0 hour. So 3.5 hours to me was fine. And the crowd was actually quite good all night if you look at it. The crowd was fine until the main event. I believe so. Two seconds, folks. It will get. It is actually apparently going to get demolished. It is going to apparently get demolished after the new ones. It'll take a year to demolish it after the new one's built. I don't know if they're going to demolish it though, but this is apparent. That's what they're going to do. No, I've already spoken to Doug. Like, he actually agrees that the better team won. I already said to him that I don't think Liverpool really did anything. So simple as that, really. But yeah, Hurt Syndicate versus the Outrunners. Less said the better. This match was the one match I really wanted to avoid at all costs because if they made them champions, I would have died. I would have died inside. I couldn't take that tag match. It was horrifying because I was sitting there thinking, "Oh shit, they're gonna make them win, aren't they?" Luckily, no. We got two monstrous spears and two ripcord knees, and I'm like, we're safe. All right, Jamie. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hurt Syndicate, one of the best things going in AEW. It is. They're just getting to do what they need to do in the best way, and it's value for money. It works. I like it. It was straight to the point. Violence, brutality, crazy blood spots, and yeah, absolutely. Definitely does need to rebuild that tag division. See, after how it went off the end of the show, I agree. I completely agree. And this is what I was saying. Like, if we got the Mermaid FC, Jesus, you won't. You'll probably win 1-0 or draw 1-1. Obviously, I thought if we were going to get a proper good swerve from Jay White and then it leads to a title change, then absolutely. But I know, I get the joke. It's Copenhagen. It's where the Little Mermaid's from. I get the joke. But yeah, they should have put the women on last. Yeah, Fernando, it is a fumble. It's a fumble because the match was outstanding. This was so incredibly brutal. And oh, it was the exact same ending as I said it was going to be. I said in the previous show that Tony Storm was going to win with Storm Zero on the entrance ramp and the spotlight would go past them. Honest to God, I think that's probably the only time. I think this is probably the only time where I've actually predicted a match and the match ending 100% correct. Doesn't happen often. But I also said Christian Cage was going to get involved in this title match and cash it in, so I was nearly right with him winning that title. But I called Tony Storm winning with Storm Zero on the entrance ramp with the spotlight hanging overhead. Plain and simple, that is the end of the best women's feud that AEW has ever or will produce. And I say will ever produce because how do you top that? Like, it's actually physically impossible. And I will give any woman credit who actually in the future tops this, but I actually physically think you cannot top it. I don't think you can. It's up there for me, Fernando. It's in my top two. It's in my top two for stories AEW's ever told. I think what was even more crazy is that blood visual. That has got to be one of the best visuals I've ever seen. But Tony Storm lying prone body, blood faced, and you're like, this woman doesn't care anymore. Mariah May was conflicted. Mariah May was conflicted if you look at it with the champagne and the tape. She was afraid to punch Tony Storm. Tony Storm was like, bitch, you stole my title. You've been attacking me for week after week. You ruined me. You sent me packing. Bitch, I'm done caring. I'm gonna knock the fuck out of you. That punch to the head. You know what's even funnier? And yeah, that was wild. That was wild. I actually think, and this is a hot take, I think that spot doesn't happen. Do you think a prime Christian Eriksen would have put Maya in the title charge? Oh yeah. Sorry, I've just seen your question. I think even not a title charge, but 10 places higher in the league, absolutely. Christian's cash-in was worse than Austin Theory. Yeah, it was. manic, pure manic. I think that spot doesn't happen if the pile driver on the steps doesn't happen. I think that pile driver was like the last. It was like the last straw. Like Tony Storm would have just went there to beat the hell out of Mariah May, and then win the title and then leave. Instead, the minute that pile driver had concluded and Tony Storm felt the blood, I think that was it. I think, well, that if that's what we're gonna do, then fine. We're gonna go all the way. Now, we did get the Mayday on the entrance ramp as well for a narrow kick out, very, very narrow by the champion. But after that, it was game over for Mariah May. She had no response after this. The shoe, perfect callback to All In. And before that, the build up to All In 2024. Credit where credit's due. I mean, it's impossible. It's physically impossible to top it. And this isn't company specific. Like, if you say all round in general, it's hard to top it. But if you want to just be AEW specifically, AEW can't top this feud. From the women's side, they can't. The men's side, absolutely. The women's side, nah. This is the bar is so high now that breaking the bar, you have to be willing to do some things that are just unpredictable. I don't think so. I mean, we'll find out, but I don't know. I generally don't know. We'll find out. 3 matches to go, and the next one only has one fault. The next match only has one fault. You keep it depends on what you get. I think it does depend on what you get. Physically, I enjoyed this, but I will not rank it until the end of the year. I think you have to go all the way across. I think you have to wait till the end of the year. You can say it's the best pay-per-view of the first quarter of the year if you want to, for example, but I don't think you can go any further. Are you referring to this match, Mo? What could have been for them, honestly? Genuinely, what could have been? It was violent as fuck, like. Who isn't a mark for themselves, though? And to do what's bad? The match itself, the brutality? I disagree. I think the match was perfect the way it was. I agree it should have been the main event, 100%. But the match was perfect for how it should have been. It ties into the stipulation. It was adequately filtered to how you get it, and then it was just a great conclusion. It was definitely in the wrong space, though. It should have main evented over that horror show. That is a horror show. Anyway, Kenny Omega versus Takeshita. You only had one fault. Don Callis should have just stayed on commentary. He didn't have to get physically involved. Didn't have to get physically involved at all. Instead, he should have just enjoyed what he was witnessing, because that was an incredible wrestling match. I think you're being a bit harsh, but I understand it's your opinion, but I kind of disagree. It was a no holds barred, falls count anywhere, no rope breaks, like matchup. I don't see what the problem is with that. It's the exact same thing you're looking for. It's actually leveling up to what it's meant to be. If this was just a falls count anywhere, but there's DQs, then you wouldn't have had any of this. I think this actually does relate to what it needs to be. No, not essentially. This was a compelling in-ring story, though. No. The only matches on this show that was a no DQ was the steel cage and the falls count anywhere. Everyone else was by the means of disqualification. Only two. Well, to be fair, the triple threat becomes a no DQ, but that's because it becomes a triple threat. But apart from that, mind you, less out in that main event till later. They did. I don't know why. It wasn't a no DQ match though. Like, it was just stipulated. It was not even a stipulated match. It was just a regular match. I agree though. They did use the table. No idea why though. Omega nearly lost by ring out though. Interference and everything. Well, you know why? Because interference is everywhere now. It's a joke. What's new? I think what you're going to see instead of death is a very serious injury. And that's what had me tied up in the steel cage. Quintessentially, we are where we are. Less said about that, the better. That's still haunting. Less said, the better. Even New Jack. Jim Cornette. Some of the stuff they did, which shouldn't have happened. The same equipment that was authorized by the owner, and it was checked. Now, there is an invincibility complex. I don't disagree with that. Or God complex, if you will. I'm not disputing that. But they go through this stuff before it happens. What more can you actually physically say or do? They go through it. Some of the stuff I don't agree with. I think there's some course of reality in some things that isn't necessary. And I said this. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, see, this is something that I equally share. And to be fair, Jamie said it as well, and I actually agree with him. Jamie said in the chat that the Spanish fly off the top should have been the finish. I agree. Because again, you're just carrying on. So if you just continue on, what more have you got left to show? I don't think it needed anything else after the Spanish fly. So I do agree. In the right state of mind, the right context. He was terrified. He was terrified. I think when you look at wrestling in general, here's another one. Somebody who never wanted to do something, but he was made to do it. Jim Cornette was told to do I think it was a 40 feet drop in a scaffold match or something. It was like 20 to 40 feet. I actually get exactly what you need. Like, this should never have happened. Like, I'm not even kidding. This shouldn't have happened. Good old 1986. The only good thing is he didn't know Vince Russo at this point, so his blood hate never happened. It's not even the scariest stunt I've seen AJ Styles do. And nobody brings this up, by the way. Let's have a look. How high was this? Right, how high was this scaffold? It's not even give me it. Come on, surely there's a height. And also, this one should never have happened. Like, this match stipulation should never have happened in general. And this is NWA when NWA was literally at its best. Look, I'll show you. No, Fernando, no. Look at the now he's up here and he falls directly into the ring. It got worse in ECW. Like, just look at New Jack. Like, when New Jack done it, it was even worse. He went out to kill. Like, he wasn't out there to work. He was out there to kill. But that's because New Jack was a living, breathing psychopath. No, I haven't. I haven't actually. I'm not a particular fan of barbed wire matches. I've watched a few. It's like obviously I've watched like Barbed Wire Massacre and all that stuff, but I think if you want to think about barbed wire matches, you should take like this match ruined like this particular weapon ruined 3 people for life. It ruined Mick Foley. It ruined Terry Funk, and it ruined Sabu. Now they are all extreme human beings, but that match between Terry Funk and Sabu is literally removed from all forms of viewership. You can't watch it anymore. Like you can try find that match. You'll be very lucky. Like that's how bad it really was. And it's not bad because nobody liked it. It was bad because of the cynicalness that we got. Like, Sabu was crazy. But you know what's funny? Sabu could wrestle. This is what I don't like if people say that Mick Foley can't wrestle. It is. The no ropes barbed wire match between Sabu and Terry Funk. That is violent. It was labeled the most violent match ever. You know it's not even that violent when ECW content was on the network and you can't even watch it. Like I tried to watch it back. Like that says a lot. Thanks, Mo. Yeah, absolutely. I'll see you around for a bit tonight. Absolutely. Look after yourself. Everyone in both companies will tell you both companies they do, but it's just how you want it to be. I've only ever watched that match once. I'll never be able to see it again. I'm actually kind of glad. It's the only time barbed wire really put me off. I don't mind it in a different context, but that match gives me the cynicalness. Yeah, him as well. Jesus. I think Mick Foley just had better psychology. I think that's what took Mick Foley to a higher level. But I do agree, Sabu was a better worker, but Terry Funk was the better out of the 3 anyway. No, he can't. Anyway, back to this. So Omega does win with with his absolute peak finishing move, the one-winged angel. This was a great match. I loved it. I just didn't think Don Callis had to get involved. Osprey versus Fletcher was standalone brutal. Again, it should have ended with if the Spanish Fly was the finish, leave it as that. I don't think you can go any further than that. I think that was the level of the two that went for it. I think that's just the echelon. And yes, it is. It is good to see Kenny Omega with gold again. And he will find out his challenger once this tournament concludes it for Dynasty. I'm actually glad that it's an eliminator where he's actually not doing the eliminator matches. See, this is how they should be. Will versus Kyle was match of the night. I mean, I quite liked it. I had to sleep on it. For some of it, I had to sleep on it. But like I say, there's elements to it. Both companies have too many tournaments. Trust me. Go and look. Tournament is overdone. At least this is a tournament where it's actually going to face the champion instead of the champion has to be involved. Yeah, this was my match of the night. But I really loved Toni Storm versus Mariah May. It was a beautiful example of violence. Beautiful example the way it needs to be. The stare down at the very start between Ospreay and Fletcher was one of the moments of the night. So was the Hollywood ending. Like, that was beautiful. The main event, however. Please never again. Just please never again. That main event was horrible. You had three spears that still leads to interference, which is actually fine. But you can't even have Christian get the win over Copeland. It's Christian that has to pass out to the stupid bulldog choke. This main event was just wrong. Yeah, Jay White was made to look like a fool because Wheeler Yuta. What was his point? What was the point of him shaking hands with Copeland only to then attack him? That was just... that was the worst thing. Yeah, exactly. Accidentally. I think they're building... if they're building to him turning on Copeland now, then fine, but they shouldn't have even built to it. They should have just done it. Like the build was already there. It's up there for me for most boring main events. Trust me, it's up there. But it's the worst AEW main event. Like 100%, it's the worst AEW main event match. No, I didn't like it. I just couldn't. I think Christian winning the title is fine because Christian actually elevates the title and who he's around better than Copeland does. But Copeland used to be like that. I think the problem is like if he had got the world title, it would have been fine for him because then he would have lost it to Swerve. But now, it's actually just worth it that they've just went, nah. They've went, neither of you are getting this world title. We're going to the previous picture. We're going back to the man who held it before this all started. We're going back to Swerve. And good, because you'll get better matches and better stories. So, come April 6th, Swerve must win the championship. Don't let us down. Do not let us down. Do not have Swerve lose. Because then after that, seriously, what's next? I can't... I don't know. I don't see any other way. Like, that's what scares me, is what follows. If it isn't Swerve. Swerve is your most over babyface. You've got to build him back up and let him run for it. Darby, I agree. Like, he is somebody you can see as a world champion from the fans love him perspective. But he isn't somebody you would say, you're my world champion, unless it was a short run. I wouldn't give him the title. If he hadn't been doing Mount Everest, I would have said yes. I think Tony essentially got his match order wrong. but there's some things that he can't be blamed for. He can't be blamed for that main event. He can be blamed for the result, 100%. But in terms of like how the two men actually did the match, that's definitely on the talent. But he needs to learn this lesson that those two men shouldn't be main eventers anymore. You can have them in upper card matches, but not the main event. The only way Copeland redeems himself now is if he has a top main event with Swerve. And Swerve actually gets a good match out of him, because that chemistry didn't fit between Moxley and Copeland. There's no chemistry. And you can't force it either. So that's a reality that we're in. Darby's in the Sami Zayn zone. It's a fair way to look at it. That's a very fair way to look at it. Who knows? We'll see. So positives from this show. Plain and simple. The match that we got to main event this show was the big negative, but it ended with a strong angle of Swerve is coming for his title. I like Prince Nana completely delaying Moxley, distracting him, so it allows Swerve to take him down with a stomp. I praise his match with Ricochet. It was a good level of quality. The women's match was excellent. The tag titles, that match was so damn wrong. It was the wrong challengers. It was that level. It's not a 10 out of 10 pay-per-view. Before anyone says it is, to me it's not. But it still ended strongly. Up until that main event, it was actually a great show. I just feel bad for the talent that had to witness that main event. Because it made Christian look like a fool. Copeland got to reenact his Hogan tag team scene because he used the Hogan effect to not lose. And show to show, of course, I'll represent what we've got. So the next SmackDown review, I'll probably wear my Rock t-shirt just to have fun. But that's where we're at. Now you've got to really step up. You can't let this show go to waste. Yeah, I think that's fair for now, though. He definitely has to blame with the actual result. So for Dynamite tonight, let me just get it short and sweet. So Kenny Omega's going to speak. MJF will speak. Orange Cassidy versus Hechicero for the International Championship Eliminator Tournament. Hopefully Hechicero wins that. Mystery opponent versus Beast Mortos. I'm expecting that to be Speedball. But that's the match card that's announced for this evening. We'll see what else they add to the show, but that's what they've announced. Also, just as a side thing as well, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, Seth freaking Rollins, and Big Bronson Reed are no more. They've just removed the gimmick names. I want to give that to anybody who hasn't seen this. So that's something. I hope it is. They have to capitalize on that momentum. Don't let it go to waste. Don't let it go to waste. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to get out of here. Thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure. I will see you all next time. Keep an eye out. And what can I say? We had a fun one in less than 2 hours. See you later, guys. Thanks for watching. Good night. Thanks, Fernando.